Hello, today is Monday, October 29th, just checking in briefly. I did want to mention a couple of things about Week 10. We started talking about the Cold War and how it begins. Week 10 readings were important, and we did have a discussion who's primarily responsible for the Cold War. The way that we structured the discussion was to have you read these sources. So hopefully everybody went through, read the sources, and was able to comment on that. The reason that we had the sources for the discussion was because the weekly activity, this primary source project, you may have finished this already. I don't know if I mentioned in my last video that this is not due at the end of week 10. If you notice, there was no project activity where we could submit that. So it was a way to start the project. And it's not going to be due until week 11. So the primary source project is due there. If you completed the primary source project last week, congratulations. Week 12 will be a little bit easier for you. If not, you have a few weeks to work on that. That's why we had 10 sources, so hopefully you have enough time to work on that. We do have the discussion forum this week, 1950s, for you. Talking about the years between 1952 and 1962. Last week we began the discussion around the Cold War. Now it's called the Cold War because we didn't fight directly with the Soviet Union. The way that World War II ends with the Soviets occupying Eastern Europe and the United States and its allies occupying Western Europe is going to lead to a number of conflicts. For example, the Berlin conflict, the Berlin Wall and the Berlin Airlift and all that is a result of the way the World War II ended in Europe. Even the way that the conflict ends in Japan with the dropping of the atomic weapons was seen by the Soviet Union as a direct threat towards the Soviet Union by the United States. So there's a lot that's going on where the United States and the Soviet Union are conflicting with each other. They're fighting each other, but they're doing it either in non-traditional ways. Like they're not going to fight directly militarily because they're worried about the atomic weapons and eventually the nuclear weapons, things like the hydrogen bomb. And they're going to fight through allies like in Vietnam or diplomatically in places like Egypt. Or they're going to fight in other ways like with the Olympics. So there's competition between the two. But there's not really any direct fighting, again, because they're worried about nuclear bombs being used and then a nuclear holocaust ending all life on the planet. So we're going to see that throughout the 1950s, and that's one of the reasons we're doing the primary search project, so that you can kind of find some of these sources. We do have a dialectal journal entry today, so we're up to number 10. It is an exam week, so the exam is on chapters 27 and 28. And you do have a journal reflection paper due this week. So hopefully everybody is doing well and the workload is sort of spacing out a little bit better now. Please make sure that you're getting caught up. If you are getting behind and you need some help, please let me know as soon as possible, because when we get too far behind, then it's hard to justify giving you points so that you can make it up. I am having a little bit of audio trouble on my computer, so if you're hearing this, that's great. It worked. And if not, well, you'd probably just stared at me for a few minutes. And I will hopefully talk to you all soon, and thank you.